Thank you so much to everyone who came on here. I see some familiar faces and other faces. I don't know you, but I'm so grateful that you showed up today, because you showed up for yourself. And this is not, I was just telling Shelly, whoever shows up to this is ready for whatever we're going to experience today. So thank you so much for showing up for yourselves. Just a little bit about me, because that's not on my presentation. I was born and raised in Mexico. My dad's American. That's why I have no accent. So I've always been in American schools ever since I was young, and very rebellious child, teenager, adult. I just couldn't find my way in the world, and I just kept stumbling and stumbling. I didn't get what, the societal rules were all about. And so I would have a lot of conflict with people that I loved, strangers, acquaintances. And it was very exhausting because I felt that I was constantly having to defend, defend, defend. And I was tired, and I really didn't have that much energy to do what I really wanted to do. And so one day I stumbled upon, or actually, my mom was like, "Hey, why don't you do this meditation?" And I'm, of course, bringing all of my life into like this little tiny nutshell so that you can understand why I am here and why we all are here. So she said, try this meditation about cutting cords. And if any of you know what cutting cords is, it's really just letting go of all the experiences. It doesn't have to be good or bad. It's just those experiences that are weighing heavy on us and that we don't realize how they keep dragging us and not allowing us to get to where we want to go. So it was a 13-minute meditation from literally YouTube. And I was like, all right, I'll play this. And little did I know that that meditation was going to change my life forever, because it was then that I realized that all the relationships that I've had until that point, the way that I've had them and the way that I've exited them was because of my fear of abandonment, which was deeply rooted in my mother. And because she didn't heal from that, she passed it on to me. She did not know this is where I started to get really, really interested in generational trauma. And of course, I had already done a lot of work with my mother. I'm sure I'll end up doing a lot of work with my father too. But we all have different things that we currently feel like we need to work on. And I'm still trying to find a lighter, more exciting word than work, because it is something that we have to do consistently throughout our lives. And so for me, it's been more of like, the healing journey never ends, right? There's always going to be something that happens. And really, what I'm so grateful for Girls Night Live to be doing this is such a beautiful platform, just offering you all these types of subjects, because we're all going through this. So why not talk about it? Why keep pretending like we're not going through it? Why keeping quiet when we know that there's almost 8 billion people in the world? Really? Like, really nobody else is going through this? So that's just been, the passion and the drive that has brought me here, and just talk about more of what is generational trauma, because that was the moment when it hit me. And I had not realized that I was living on just an MO. I was a projector of my trauma. And a lot of people live this way. That's why we get defensive. That's why we feel angry when we feel attacked. When somebody says something in a certain way, we automatically create a story. Oh, that person doesn't like me. Oh, this person just said this to, mess with me. And it's never personal, right? Because we cannot experience anything outside of ourselves. So we don't live on that level so much of being so connected to others that we are actually able to really make it about someone else, because we have the filters, the lenses that we live life through are ours, or the ancestors, or our family members, or whoever beliefs we picked up along the way. So just so we can talk a little bit more about these lenses, about these experiences, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you all, because otherwise I'll just keep talking and then I'll forget to share my screen. Okay, let me move the chat box. Cool. All right. So last year I decided to really just structure what I wanted to do and what I wanted to offer. And that's when LEAF was formed. And it's LIEF, which comes from the German word as happily or as gladly. So this was just like a beautiful coincidence, which, you know, it's not a coincidence. It was just something beautiful that I thought, oh, well, yeah, that's how I want to live my life, as happily and as gladly as I can. So the workshop for today is called Heal to Feel, right? Because we're going to be, again, working or really just experiencing through through our trauma and how we can come back home to us, to really just being us. And I'll talk a little bit more about what that means. And if anybody wants the presentation, I mean, I love making presentations. I'm more than happy to share it with you. You can just let me know later. But before your mind is blown, let's just go ahead and get centered so that you're able to receive this information in a much better way. Now that I've talked to you about me and, you know, my journey and all that good stuff, let's go ahead and just find a seat wherever you are. I see that most of you are sitting down, so really just make sure that you're just disconnected for the next few moments. Just take a moment to close your eyes. And if closing your eyes is just something that doesn't feel right to you, don't do it. Do whatever feels right to you. The best way to feel centered and aligned and connected is through the breath. It's a tool that we carry all the time, but we forget to use it. So this is the first tool that is presented to you. Take a deep breath in. And out. Let's do 2 more just like that. Deep breath in. And out. And I'm going to ask you to just focus on the space right in the middle of your chest, your heart center. Continue breathing in and out. You're more than welcome to place 1 or 2 palms on the center of your chest. And feel your heart beating. Imagine this white, bright light in the center of your chest expanding into every cell and to every organ in your body. And as you continue to breathe here, perhaps you feel called to set an intention for today's workshop. It can be the first word that pops into your mind. Avoid overthinking. Let it just come to you. And if you chose to set an intention, accompany this intention with a few sensations of gratitude. Feeling grateful for your breath, for your body, for your eyes, for your ears, because you're able to see and you're able to hear exactly what you need to see and hear to take your life to the next level. If you choose to, that is. Thank you for all the people that are supporting you. Thank you for this community. And thank you for you. Just take a few more breaths. Inhale. And then slowly on your next exhale, you can release your palms back down. If your eyes are closed, slowly begin to flicker them open, taking your time to come back. Welcome back, ladies. That was only 4 minutes. So you can notice maybe you came in rushing. I know I was super excited to be here. I was pumped and all that energy was going on. So that helped me to just align with the energy of the people that are here, to everyone that's showing up, whoever watches this recording afterwards. Just a little bit of gratitude to start off the presentation. So now that we've got that going on, let's go ahead and talk about what inherited generational trauma is. Some of you may already know this. Some of you are like, oh, I wonder what that is. So inherited generational trauma, or generational trauma, there are different words of saying this, are the experiences, the traumas, and the beliefs that we've inherited from those who came before us. It can be, there's a theory of 7 generations before us, and then what will be affected are 7 generations after us. So I love this quote. It's not your fault for what happened, but it is your responsibility to heal what has happened. So that's just something to think about. And this generational trauma, in 30 minutes, it's like trying to explain why are we here in 30 minutes, right? I'm going to do the best that I can to give you just like little bits of information so that the brain can wrap itself around it. And then you are more than welcome to explore that afterwards. But something that we all need to know is that we all have these inherited experiences, right? Whether we want to admit it or not. If you're a scientist, believer, if you're like, everything has to be proven by science, there are multiple science studies out there that they've done with, especially with Holocaust survivors and the generations after, how they bring along that trauma of experiencing such horrifying events with them. And so they have a lot of like PTSD, they have a lot of anxiety, stress, uncertainty, right? More than what we have on a day-to-day basis. And so you can always go and explore that on your own. But I'm more of a person of like, I refuse, and this is a little bit of the rebellious side that I still have from my younger days. But to me, if I feel it, it's real to me. I don't care what anyone says. Any religious leader and the biggest name in science can come in and tell me, Anna, that's not true. And I'm like, I can feel it. So it's real to me. So this workshop is really an invitation for you to experience and for you to realize, just have that awareness of what are those inherited experiences that I have. The trick is to spot them and bring them to light so that they are exposed. Every thought, every emotion in our body wants to be recognized. It wants to be seen and heard and felt, just like we do, right? We like when I'm talking, when I go to get my coffee or whatever, I want the barista, I want the cashier to acknowledge my presence, right? Like I want them to take my order. I would love a smile. I would love an interaction. And when we're at the line and they don't recognize them, it's almost like a trigger, right? Because we have that innate desire and that need to really have a connection, whether we know it or not. So it's really important to check yourself to see if, I don't know, typo. It's not though, it's thought. It probably autocorrected. So it's really important to check and see, like, is this thought, belief, and experience mine, or is it someone else's? And you'll know if it's somebody else's if it doesn't feel yours. If you're like, no, but I believe this. Why isn't this happening in my life? And you can apply that to many areas of your life: romantic relationships, friendships, family relationships, money, huge, huge thing in the society, money, job, anything. And at the end of the day, again, that typo, if this thought, belief, and experience is something you do not want in your life, that's how you know that it's not yours. And those are the little clues that it's like, hey, this needs to be healed. Hey, this needs a little tweaking, because it really doesn't align with the life that you want to live. And so some of the life examples that I always, like to give, my personal examples, and sometimes I drag my family and my friends into this, but because to me, I'm pretty much an open book, right? And I feel like, well, if I'm going to talk about this, I have to come from a place of authenticity, and not like, I know everything, I'm your guru, listen to me and your life will be okay. No, you are your own teacher. You are your own master, because nobody knows you like you know you. The thing is, somewhere along the way, you forgot about who you are. So it's not really a becoming process. It's an unraveling, kind of like an onion. You start to peel back into the core of who you are. So if you notice that you have some repetitive patterns, this is a big one with my clients. How often do you end up in the same situations over and over again? Why does this keep happening to me? How the hell did I end up here again? I love this phrase that people keep saying, especially women. These guys, these like psychos, they just find me. And I'm like, do they find you, or do you just kind of reel them in? Because it's not a one-way street, right? When we are saying, I want somebody who's at this level, we have to ask ourselves, well, are we at that level? Because we have to check our surroundings. Who are we hanging out with? Who are we talking to? Right? Who are we hanging out with? Right? We can't, I'll just put like I'll just set an easy example. I want to be a millionaire and I'm hanging out with broke ass people. It's like, doesn't make any sense. Right? So that's actually a great example of like sabotaging, right? We're sabotaging our money mindset, our new mindset, the mindset that we know we want to have, the dream life that we want to have, by, no, I just, like, I don't really want to stop talking to my family. And yeah, my aunt's a little toxic, but it's okay. Like, she's family, blood's thicker than water, all that stuff, right? And we put up with that crap because it's comfortable, because it's all we know. But we are sabotaging our dreams. We are sabotaging our best lives, and we just don't realize that. And another example is just, okay, it's January. You're super excited about your goals that you set for New Year's. Yes, I'm going to accomplish it. I'm going to kick some butt. And then come March, it's like, well, it's just hard. And it wasn't meant for me anyways, right? All of these excuses of, oh yeah, no, it just wasn't for me. But did we actually put in the effort? If we started it and then we came across an obstacle, did we give up? Right? How easily do we give up? Because now we're like, instant gratification, boom, 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 Amazon, Uber Eats, everything delivered to my door. And if it's not here in 5 minutes, I don't want it. No patience. I don't want to deal with anyone who's complicated. I want everything done my way. And so that's where we end up really, really just not committing to anything. And goals need commitment. Dreams need commitment. And the third example, which I already kind of gave, it's the scarcity mindset. It's this belief that we think that if somebody else gets a promotion, if somebody else wins the lottery, for example, if somebody else tells you, oh my gosh, I don't know what happened, but like $1 million appeared on my bank account. Holy crap. And instead of you being like, holy crap, that's amazing, I can get $1 million deposited into my bank account too. We're like, oh, well, Johnny already got $1 million deposited into his account. I'm screwed because there's only so much amount of money in the universe, in the world, that can be distributed. And that's a false belief, right? That's a fake belief. So really starting to notice, like, okay, what are my beliefs around money? What are my beliefs around those limitations, right? When you say, oh, I can't do that, really asking yourself, why? Why can't I do this? I love it. I love the excuse, "Oh, I just didn't have enough time." No, you have time. You just didn't allocate it appropriately throughout the day. And so you're burnt out, you're overwhelmed because you were trying to do a million things at once and you ended up doing nothing, feeling exhausted, and here we are. So those are just some things, some examples that we can go over. And in terms of tools, how to do this, and remember, I'm going through this because this is really, I'm just planting a seed, right? I'm planting a seed of what this is and how you can just, I want your mind to get curious. That's really my intention for this workshop. So don't feel like, okay, this is so much, I don't know where to start. It's okay. The point is starting somewhere. So the tools that I've found work best when you're just starting is really observe yourself. And when you're observing yourself, leave the judgment out of it. Leave the good, the bad, the right, the wrong. I know it can be hard, especially if you're on this workshop and you're older in age, because that's deeply rooted, right? Traditionally, right? Just the whole like, oh, this is wrong. Oh, this is bad. Like that conservative mindset of just like, we have to label everything black or white. But we're living in a world where we realize, hey, what about the gray? What about the transition from the black to white and from the white to black? It's beautiful. And so if we start embracing that, then we can start paying attention to everything that is happening within us. Oh, I feel sad. Well, you know what? I'm just going to feel into the sadness. We all feel sad. We all feel angry. We all have moments of like jealousy or envy. Okay. Can I allow jealousy? Can I allow envy to be my teacher? Show me what I need to learn. And then comes the reflection, right? Your reflection, your contemplation on what is this feeling, emotion, sensation, situation? How can I take what I need to learn from this situation? No matter how horrible it is, no matter how horrifying, inhumane, oh, preposterous, it's like we can get dragged into the drama of like the story. Oh my gosh, I can't believe. And then when you have the friend that's like, on your team and she's like, how could she have done this to you? Oh, that bitch. You know what? She did that to me too. And I heard that she blah, 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 blah. And so we roll into this story of, oh yeah, this person is a bad person. There's nothing wrong with me. So that we can actually avoid, right, what's coming up. And then it's your choice, right? You have the choice to change or to keep staying the same. But this, the opportunity of choosing change presents itself all the time because there's always room and there's always space to level up, to upgrade your life. But you have to make that choice, right? It's not just going to happen and if you don't take action towards it. So that's the conflict, right? That sometimes people are like, well, I've been praying and I've been meditating and it just doesn't happen for me. No, it is happening to you, but you have to be open. You have to be open to really choosing change. And so I want to be very mindful of the time because I want to also have time for your questions. And if you're like, Anna, where do I start? Who do I follow? YouTube is like the most amazing virtual library that we have at our disposition. These are some of the people that I started with. The last two, Catherine Zenkina and Gina DeVee, they're like my latest recommendations, but I know a lot of people aren't that big of a fan of Tony Robbins. Ask yourself why. Ask yourself why you're not a fan of Tony Robbins, because he is like the most legit, like, I mean, he's the he's the coach of coaches. So I always think like you don't have to agree with everything a mentor or a coach says, but you can always get little golden nuggets from here, from there. So these are the people that I highly recommend to start off with. Byron Katie, she just makes me laugh at myself. I'm like, Anna, of course. Of course, it's not about you. Of course, you're trying to control the situation, and you don't have to, because I don't know what someone else's happiness is. I only know what my happiness is. So she's a really interesting resource. And just remember that there are a lot of free resources out there, and the internet is your friend. Yes, but there are also a lot of people out there that are really scammy. And I'm not saying this to you so you can have your antennas up all the time and just have that intention of like, I don't want anyone to scam me, because then you're going to start attracting all of those things. Just whenever you go on a search, set the intention, just like you said it before this workshop. You know, I'm setting the intention of finding exactly what I need. And sometimes you're like, okay, this is weird that, I don't know, Mary Poppins showed up on my YouTube. All right, let's see what this video says. And maybe that video takes you back to, when you watched Mary Poppins for the first time and you were so happy and full of joy and you believed in magic, whatever, right? So trust start developing your intuition, start developing trust in yourself. Because if not that we can't trust other people, but trust in other people is, I don't want to use the word limited, but we'll use that and I'll figure out another word. But let's say if I put all of my trust, all of my belief, all of my everything onto Lucy, and Lucy is going through something of her own and she disappoints me. If I take the expectation off of Lucy, then I won't be disappointed. But because I've put everything on her, I put Lucy, Lucy, Lucy. It's like I'm almost like trying to like play hot potato with my responsibility and putting it on Lucy. Oh, so then it's easier for me to say, Lucy, you failed me. You betrayed me. But people are just people, right? And they're going through their own experience. So it's really important for us to come back to ourselves. What does it require, right? What does it require for me to up level my game? Radical responsibility. What am I here to learn? What am I here to learn? And if you go into that victim mentality, okay, yeah, I'm in the victim role. It's okay. But how do I get out of it now? And be in the victim role. It's okay. It's part of feeling. It's part of, okay, I'm experiencing being the victim. Yeah, I feel sorry for myself. I feel hopeless. I feel like there's nothing to do. But is that choosing to level up? And that is another one of my invitations for you today, for you to choose to level up. I see people from here, be women. I see women here from all ages. And I love that because it's never too late to start, right? It's never too late to start. There's this one lady, she wrote a book about the Holocaust at 98 years old. It's called The Choice. And I was like, man, if she can do that at 98, I can do that now. So it's never too late to have fun with learning more about yourself. And it can be a little scary sometimes. So this is what I recommend. You can hire someone to help you through this. I'm a coach, and I've also hired coaches to help me just because we need that support. And if I want to grow and if I want to invest in myself, what best than to hire someone who does not have my filter, who can see through all of my bullshit and be like, Anna, you're lying to yourself about this and this and this and this. You have limiting beliefs around this and this and this and this. And then they can help me with whatever I need, right? We always need that support. There's also mentorship that a lot of people offer it for free, which you can always access it. But the way that I see it is we can only get so much out of free content. And people, just because we need money to live and thrive and all of these things, if we have a limiting belief or a scarcity mindset around money, we're like, oh yeah, I can blow $2,000, on like a down payment for X, Y, and Z, or maybe on a bag or a trip, but I can't invest that for myself, like for my mind. So that's just something that I like to ask people about it. Like, you'll spend hundreds, thousands of money on partying, on other superficial stuff that no one's judging, but then how is that going to affect you? How are you choosing to level up when you're not investing in the most important thing, your mind, right? Your whole body, your whole being. And another thing that comes hand in hand with the support, find your tribe. Super cliche, but so true. Find women that you resonate with. Anna, I don't really get along with women. That's a belief. That's a limiting belief, right? Because that's something that maybe served you as a child. Now it's time to break that belief and go out there, get uncomfortable if it's uncomfortable for you, because your environment is essential to your personal success. Just like that quote, tell me who you surround yourself with and I'll tell you who you are. And then what else do I have? Oh, a quote that I love. If you don't heal from what hurt you, you'll bleed on those who didn't cut you. This happens all the time. And you saw it at the Capitol if you watch the news. I don't watch it, but people tell me about it. And I get notifications on my phone about it. That's all I need. I don't get involved in the external drama because my mind can only handle so much. My mental health is extremely important to me because if I cannot be okay, I cannot serve others. So it doesn't really work out. And this quote I just absolutely love, because that's why we have so many people in jail. That's why we have so many people who just hate, like their hearts are full of hatred and they can't see past that because they're living through their trauma. They think that, oh, these people are out to get me. I'm going to be replaced. It's fear. That's all it is. And so it's really time to step up our games as human beings if we want to live more fulfilling lives. And so that's pretty much what I have today. I really want to make time for your questions, if there are any, but if you feel the need to reach out and learn more about this, I'm more active on Instagram. So that's my handle, Anna C. Jones. My email address, somebody took Anna C. Jones, so I had to add the G, which is my mom's maiden name. And my website is Live in Emotional Freedom. So you can book like discovery calls on there. I've got 2 articles on my blog. I'm not very good at it, but again, I'm getting better at it. Breaking that limiting belief. And you can, I mean, if eventually you're like, hey, I would love to text with you or whatever, I'm really open about giving my phone out. I've never had a stalker situation and I'm really good with boundaries. So that's not an issue for me. You can totally ask for that. And before we move on to questions, this is really just something that I want to leave you all with. And I put a diamond because we are still diamonds in the rough, right? There's still a lot of polishing that we need to do. There's still a lot of discoveries to be made. And so just a reminder that if you don't deal with your trauma is going to deal with you. We cannot escape this. Doesn't matter who you are. If you're the Dalai Lama, if you are up there in the Himalayas, isolated from the entire human race, if you're the barista, the neighbor, the teacher, whatever you are, doesn't matter, what profession you're in. We all have trauma, and we just have to be a little bit more mindful of how to deal with it so that we're not bleeding on everyone else, and we actually take care of ourselves. So that is all from me today. I can't believe I went through that. Okay, not too bad. And if you all have any questions, I don't know exactly, like, do people just kind of throw them in the chat or?
Yes, questions are in the chat.
Perfect. Okay, then let me do stop share. Awesome. I love Gabby Bernstein. Can you put that list of resources back up? Yes. There we go. And again, if you want this presentation, just let me know. Don't put your email in the chat because the chat just deletes as soon as we exit here. Send me an email or a DM on Instagram, whatever you prefer. And then let me go back to. I'm trying to see how I can go back. There we go. Stop here. Okay, and then, okay. Perfect. Yeah. Kristinette, if you can send me an email, I would really, really appreciate it. Awesome. I'm just reading all of your comments. And the website, I'll put it up again. It's liveanemotionalfreedom.com. And if you're on Instagram, you can find me there as well. It'll take you to that link, but I'll share it again.
I just put it back in the chat for you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay. All right. Don't be shy to ask any questions. The more you ask, the more you're able to be able to just learn more about yourself and what this journey is about. So please, there are no ridiculous questions. Don't be shy, because then you're going to be kicking yourself and be like, oh crap, why didn't I answer that? So please, please, please ask any questions that you want. If you're kind of shy and you don't want to put it in the chat, you can always just do it privately. How do you move or release trauma that is not your own? That's a great question. We actually have another workshop coming up on the 25th. That we're going to go a little bit deeper into that, but truly it's the thing that I can tell you right now, just so we don't go way over time, is really exploring, right? I would say, I always tell people, like, hire someone if you don't know where to start, but you can always journal. There are a lot of journaling prompts that if you don't like to journal, like, with your hand and or excuse me, pen and paper, you can always type. I know that was my biggest excuse, like, oh my gosh, my hand gets tired, I don't want to journal. It's like, no, like, type. There are opportunities for you to get everything out. And just acknowledging it, right? Some people like to dance. Like, if you, Carrie, if you're a dancer, like, if you like to move your body, you can just be like, just kind of shake out the body. And right now that, we're in like quarantine and a lot of places are shut down, just crank up the music. If you have neighbors, or everyone can hear around you, just put some headphones on and just dance it out. I like to scream too. So everybody has different ways of releasing all of that and making it a conscious, like, putting it on the spotlight, right? Like, holy crap, I have a fear of abandonment. That's why I have codependent relationships. That's why I feel rejected by my friends, by my family, by my partner all the time. What is there to do? And you can even close your eyes and just say, if you have a faith, like, if you're like a believer in like the universe, infinite intelligence, God, whatever you want, this is like excellent. Close your eyes and just ask it. what is the best way for me to release this trauma? And sometimes it's going to be like, go hug a tree. Sometimes it's just things that we have forgotten, right? Because it's like, how am I going to go hug a tree? Like, what if someone sees me and they think I'm crazy? Who cares? Like, I always tell people, you only live one life. Really, like, you're going to be afraid of what like people think if you're like hugging a tree or dancing on the street. It's like, who cares? Right? It's doing it for you and having fun while you're doing it. So that's a little that's really, really cool to do, like adding fun and excitement. So is fear in dreams or things you remember in your dreams generational? Yes, it can be. It can definitely be that. Um, I mean, I don't want to go too woo-woo on here because I don't know everyone and I don't want to uh, super turn people off from this, especially if you're like new to this. But um, we live in a spiritual world, right? I always tell people, like, if you think that we are the only we are the only beings, and this is the only planet that holds life, you are very self-centered. We have no idea what's out there, right? And there are so many theories, so many conspiracies that at the end of the day, it's like if something is constantly appearing in your dreams, it's like, what is this? And if you don't have a journal, Linda, like just really journal it out. I would say like start having a journal and write things out. Like this is a consistent thing. Okay. So I am constantly getting messages from my dreams, right? These are signs that are in my subconscious, which holds 95%, right? 95% is our subconscious. So who's running the show? 95% of your freaking brain. And the conscious is only 5. So even if you want to do something and you have that in the back of your mind, I'm not worthy, I'm not deserving, I'm not enough, guess what? It's not going to happen. So really, it's like we go to fitness classes, right? And we hire dietitians and we do all of these things for our minds. But then what are we doing to reprogram our minds? What are we doing to feed our minds things that are going to cause this shift? It's a rewiring process. And I'm going to tell you right now, it can be nasty. It can be very unpleasant. You can even be really angry and irritated at times. So that's why I highly encourage people to just journal. And it sounds like, oh yeah, journal, but no, it's a powerful tool because it's like a brain dump and your hands are like the exit to that dumping. It's like think about like not going to the bathroom, right? Not pooping for a whole day. Some people are like, oh man, I can't go a day without, pooping or whatever. Imagine a week. You would be like so backed up, you would barely even want to walk anywhere. Think of when was the last time you had a purge, a mental purge. If you have thoughts, beliefs that are going and going and going and going, it's like just let them out. Why do we want to even keep them in our minds, right? We want to purge them out so we can bring more beautiful things into our lives. More beautiful things. Yes, Kristinette. So I hope that kind of answered the question. And Mindy, do you think old trauma causes health? Yes, absolutely. Do you think old trauma causes health issues? Absolutely. I'm going to go a little bit deeper into this, and Shelly, you can stop me if we go over time. But there is, if you ever read the book, It Didn't Start With You by Mark Woolen, he talks about how there are these unspoken loyalties between our ancestors and us. So there is this client in the story that he tells that he was working with a man who had a child who was 16 years old and he had just suicided and he was devastated. And so he went with Mark and they started working together and everything. And he realized that his son was 16 years old when he killed himself. When he was 16 years old, he was in a car wreck with this other kid and he survived. the other kid didn't. So how this happens is still very much unknown, but there is a saying, trauma will find the best healing outcome. So that loyalty, unknown loyalty, that child, his son, like the main character's son, developed towards the man that died, it was almost like, what people say, like, oh, karma, what goes around comes around, sort of thing. It's not revenge, but it was an unspoken loyalty. Like, oh, my dad took your life, I'll take my life and avenge you for it. And so there are these, and obviously it's tragic for this realm, right? For this plane that we're on, this existence that we're in, that is three-dimensional, where I can tell you, hey, this is a cell phone, and you're like, oh yeah, now let me touch it, let me feel it. I can, it's materialized, right? But there are so many things that we don't know. And that's why it's so much better to get to know people and just ask them, why do you think that way? I'm curious, because we know nothing about those people unless they tell us. And sometimes even when they tell us, we don't know, right? If there's more to the story. So that's what I'm really trying to create here. Again, that culture of get curious. And Lucy, oh my gosh, I used your name and I didn't even know you were here. Hi, Lucy. If you wake up and start with positive thoughts, how do you keep them there as the day goes on? How do you stay on track? Repetition, 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 and anchor them with feeling. So what we did at the beginning of the workshop, right, where I had you, some of you closed your eyes and put your hands on your heart, just really like, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful that I get to live another day. I'm so grateful for my job. I'm so grateful for my family. And you feel this expansion of energy. It's like a tingling sensation that you feel expand through your entire body, and sometimes even outwards. And it's really a practice. I did a workshop on gratitude on another platform, and one of the girls was like, so how do I go about gratitude? And I was like, do you brush your teeth every day? Hopefully at least once a day. We're still brushing our teeth, right? I'm like, do you shower every day? Maybe not every day nowadays, but like that consistency. Do you drink water every day? Do you eat every day? Gratitude's the same thing, right? It's a practice until it becomes a habit, because you now have a habit of showering, of brushing your teeth, of drinking enough water so that you stay hydrated and you're not in a bad mood. Same with food. So it's really a practice. And again, remember, your mind is gonna fight you because it's already wired, right? It's already wired a certain way. So you want to start straightening things, or you want to start like moving things in a direction, there's going to be a lot of resistance. Your brain's going to be like, no, no. And that's the ego, which we want the ego, but we want to have a friendly dynamic. We want the ego to work for us, not us work for the ego, if that makes sense. All right. Any other questions? I'm looking at the chat. Okay. Okay. So, Shelly, do you have any questions for me from Facebook, or are we done?
No, they're all in there.
Okay, awesome. Well, again, if some of you were like a little shy and didn't want to ask here, you know where to reach me. I'm more than happy to help out in any way that I can. Oh, before I forget, another great way to start bringing all of this in and to get connected. Andrea, you're welcome. I encourage, if you're not meditating, definitely start a meditation practice. And please don't think that a meditation is just like what you see in pictures, right? Meditation is doing something that helps you get in the flow. Meditation can be gardening, right? A lot of people get really inspired when they're gardening. It can be a walk around nature. It can be just a connection. Anything that connects you back to having a moment by yourself with your thoughts. Question, are these thoughts mine? Don't believe everything your mind tells you, because most of the time it's not true. It's all a fog. All of those thoughts are foggy, and they're just really clouding up your brain from who you really are. And so that's like the fun thing. Sometimes it's very frustrating and sometimes it's annoying and you're like, "Oh, I wish I had it all figured out." But life's about throwing tantrums, crying in the corner in fetal position, like screaming, yelling, being angry, being excited and happy and joyful. And then you go back. Don't be afraid to live through all of these emotions, because they are all in a spectrum, right? If you haven't seen that movie from Pixar, Inside Out, watch it. Right? It's beautiful, because without sadness, there's no joy. Without anger, there's no sadness. And so, how do we get back to being at home, feeling at ease, and enjoy those days when you feel amazing? Because I know I have those days where I'm like, this is it. I figured it out. This is how I'm going to stay forever. And then another wave comes and crashes me back onto the shore. And I'm like, Jesus. So that's just how life is. I like to think of life like an ocean, and you can either be crashing against the waves all the time and you're not going to have fun. And you're probably going to be like, I quit. Some people kill themselves, other people fall into depression or anxiety, and that's just a horrible, horrible way to go. I suggest you don't choose that. Life can be exciting and beautiful and magical if you choose it to be. So, be as woo woo as you want to be. If that makes you happy, put a lot of sprinkles on your cupcakes. Don't just be eating the all bran. If you hate it, don't just eat spinach all the time. If you hate it, make it fun, make it exciting. And thank you again to everyone for showing up. This is something that I love to talk about. As you can see, I'm super passionate about anything and everything that has to do with just leveling up in our lives. But we cannot talk about going to the next phase if we're not looking at what's in front of us. And a lot of the times really is just junk and stuff that we're not able to see because we just haven't been exposed to it and nobody talks about it. So talk to your people about this. Hey, have you heard of generational trauma? Guess what I learned today, right? And just share with them if that feels right. Be careful also with who you share your intimate things. Now in social media, everybody wants to share, I'm crying. That's very intimate. That's very personal. And this is a personal process. So be very mindful of who you open yourself up to. So I am grateful for all of you. Peg, thank you so much. I'm glad you found this incredible. Thank you, Carrie. I appreciate you showing up. Kathy, I'm glad. I'm glad this was very eye and mind opening. So yeah, eye and mind. Nice. Christinette, yes, I'm grateful for this session as well. Thank you so, so much.